My name is Josh Lane, and I'm a senior in the Digital Marketing Technology program here at Stout.
And I'm Kevin Tharp. I'm the program director of the Bachelor's in Digital Marketing Technology at UW-Stout.
And today is actually Internaut Day, and it marks the 25th anniversary of the World Wide Web going public. So I just wanted to talk about my first experience with getting on the internet itself and where it came to today. So my first experience with the internet was probably in 2005 or 2006, and it was just using AOL or MSN or something like that to instant message my friends, and I think I was about in 5th grade at the time. And I just wanted to let everybody know, if you watch this, if you're interested, leave a comment below saying what year you first started using the internet and like what experience you had with that. And I wanted to get into your first experiences with using the internet as well. So.
Okay, my first experience with the internet was back in 1994. It was a couple years after it went public, but not very many years after it. I actually was looking for a job. We had a local, is like a bulletin board type system, but it was on the internet. It was called a FreeNet, the Ozarks Regional Information Online Network in Springfield, Missouri. And it was a project of the library and the city and the schools and a number of other government and quasi-government organizations. And what we did is we created a FreeNet. And a FreeNet, it was a term that was used by organizations like ourselves that were members of the National Public Telecommunications Network, which was a kind of like public television, only it was kind of the public internet. And what we were is organizations that were looking at ways of trying to help people get access to local information online. So we had two different components that we were looking at. One is getting the local information online so that the library information, the city information, the schools, whatever kind of information that was relevant to that community, getting that in place. And the other side of it was providing access to that. So we provided free access to the internet through, at that point in time, it was a modem pool where we would provide all kinds of modems, and so my first experience actually was looking for a job. I found that job using the internet, using that same system. And so at that point in time, we were using a thing called Gopher. The thing that's important about Tim Berners-Lee is that he developed what's become known as the World Wide Web, which is a hypertext transfer protocol system. And that simply means that within a document or within content, you had the ability to create links within the text. Originally, it was just within the text. And so before that, what you had to do, Gopher had a hypertext capability so that there could be a list of websites, or not websites, of sites, and you could click on them and get to them. Before that, you actually had to know the full address, the full path in order to get to any information. So it was actually a really hard system to use. What Internaut Day is doing is celebrating when they made the system public so that the rest of the world could use it, not just the CERN people, but the hypertext aspect of it is what was really interesting. And so this has relevance to modern search engine optimization, because that's really when it all sort of started. When people started being able to get onto the internet and use it easily, that's where the beauty of the internet and what's come to become such an integral part of what we do started becoming important, because it started becoming something that was easy to use. And one of the first things that people realized is, hey, we've got to have an organized system in order to start finding this, because people started opening up these different sites, websites, and there wasn't any real way of tracking them, and that's where Yahoo came from. And there were others, but Yahoo's the one that's, for most of the people that are watching this, that'll still be familiar. And that started out as a directory listing of different types of sites. And so the way that that worked is they had their website, and it was a category scheme. So that I was working at the Springfield Greene County Library in Springfield, Missouri at the time. If you wanted to find out how to get to our website, you would go to Yahoo, you would go to Missouri, you would go to Springfield, and then you would find library. So that it was a categorical system, and our site would have been submitted to Yahoo, and Yahoo would have had people actually go and look at those sites to see if it matched the category that it was submitted with.
Into the directory.
Right, into the directory. So it was a man-managed or a human-managed system where people had to submit the individual URLs, and then somebody else had to look and make sure it's categorized right. It's very inefficient compared to, say, the Googles that we have today. And so that's actually what led up to the creation of Google, is the same idea of we need to get access to content. There's all this stuff that's starting to show up. How are we going to find it? And so they created what's called a spider or a bot. And what the spider or bot does is it'll start on any given web page, and it will start following all the links within there. And as it follows all of those links, it'll then follow the links that are linked there, and goes on and on and on. So that creates kind of like a spider web kind of an image where there's all these different nodes that are connected. It may only be connected to one other node, it may be connected to a number of other nodes. And that's where they started gathering their data. And so we were talking about this earlier. From the very beginning, content has been the most important thing. The reason that the internet exists is because people want to share content, and they want people to come and see that content. And so from the very earliest days of the search engines, people started to game those search systems. And so if I wanted, they worked similar, the search engines worked similar to what they did now, only much less sophisticated, where I would go and I would type in a keyword of something that I was looking for. It would then go through the database index, and it would find sites that had those words in them. And then it would send you to those sites. And so immediately when this thing started happening, the way that people measured the success of their websites in the early days was in hits or visits. So that actually hits was the first thing. So the only thing that they cared about is how many hits they were getting, how many people were hitting their site. And so what they would start doing is they would start gaming the system. And you started seeing from the very early days of when there were search engines, people would start putting in words that would get them traffic, even if it had nothing to do with their site. So sex was like on pages that the word sex would be either in the meta description or hidden in white text at the bottom. Words like sex, porn, that kind of stuff that were drawing traffic, they were putting it on sites that had absolutely nothing to do with it. And you were telling me about your early experience.
Yeah, I can't remember obviously 10 years ago what I was looking for, but almost majority of the time when I would search for anything, I would come across websites that people, or domain names that people would buy or whatever. I don't know what it was back then, but they would claim these domains, just fill it with garbage like black hat SEO stuff with those kind of keywords and stuff that had no relevance at all to the page. And then they would put whatever they want all over the page. The domain would be like, if I'm looking for a real estate company, the domain name would be the real estate company, but you click on the page and it would be something completely irrelevant, whatever they want to put on there. So then that created the need for Google or Yahoo or a company to come in and create a way to index things.
And so that has become the kernel of everything that we look at when we're looking at search engine optimization today. It all goes back to that idea of there's content out there. There are people that are looking for content. And when you look at companies like Google, their goal is to get you to the right content, to the good content. And so all of the rules that have been put in place over the many years have been designed to try and achieve that goal. And the way that they achieve that goal is by elevating the sites that have good content so that they show up higher in the search engine results, because what Google wants, and the others, is they want for people to get to the best information right off the bat. That's what makes Google or other search engines valuable to the end users, is not just that they send them to a page, but they send them to the right page. And so they've got all these algorithms, and we won't go into them because that's entire semesters worth of information for us to teach. But there's all these different tools that they have brought to the process of trying to decide what is it that the end user is really trying to accomplish. What are they really trying to find, and what is good content? So they've spent the last 20 years working on different ways to improve that, and it's always comes back down into what is the best content, what is good content, what are people looking for, even to the point now where they're able to predict what you're looking for before you actually do it.
Awesome.
As you enter the first keyword, there's already other words in there that it's like possible, these are the possibilities that you might be looking for. And then, of course, now the thing that's really changed it is the ability to do voice searches. So voice search is becoming the killer thing on the internet, the ability for you to enter normal conversation and have the search engines be able to find the information that you want from voice. And so it's gone from these days when you had to know the entire path to get to a document, and that was the only document you could get access to from that, to the point where we had hypertext. We talked about it earlier, that the ability to add images. The same thing happened when images were first able to be added, and that was somewhere around 1995. Well, immediately people started putting up pornographic type images, and so that's always been one of the underlying things that has been out there since it was made public on 25 years ago. So why we're celebrating Internaut Day today, and it always comes down to what are people looking for, how do we get them there, and that's part of what we teach here at UW-Stout in our digital marketing technology program. Not only how do you get there, but then also how do you track when somebody gets to your site? How do you extend that relationship? How do you bring all this technology? And it's completely changed the way that marketing is done today. And so I fortunately have had the ability or the luck to have been in a position. I've been working on the internet since 1994, to have actually seen all of this happen and able to share it with people like Josh, who are like, I really didn't know what was going on there. So
today's a big day for SEO and digital marketing, I suppose, so, in history anyways. So.
Yeah.
I was just going to put in a plug for our social media. Make sure to check us out in the description, and our Facebook page is UW-Stout Digital Marketing Technology Program, and check that out. Check out our YouTube and the other links as well, our official blog and everything. So
we'll see you online.
Talk to you later.